Defense Secretary Robert Gates is considered by many to be a budget hawk for vowing to cut $78 billion from the defense budget over the next 5 years. This morning, we're learning more about a hidden expense at the Pentagon that will cost almost $115 billion over that same period. Rust. Megan Hughes is at the Pentagon with more on this problem.
Hi there, Eric. Good morning. That's right. We're talking about the cost of corrosion. It's something a lot of people don't think about. It's not in the headlines very often, but it does have a monster price tag. We're talking about $23 billion a year. Yes, that's $115 billion over 5 years. Just to put that yearly cost into perspective for you, for that same cost, the Pentagon could buy 2 Navy aircraft carriers. Those go for $11 billion a pop. They could also buy 55 of the Air Force's premier fighter jet, the F-22 Raptor. Those go for $411 million apiece. Now, analysts are only expecting that number to grow over the next few years. The reason, it's very simple, Eric. We are talking about old ships and old planes. You've got aircraft like the B-52 bomber. They were built back in the 1960s. They were only expected to be in the air for about a dozen years. And here we are 50 years later, and these aircraft are still flying. Then on top of that, you've got Navy ships that have to deal with the corrosion and rust associated with seawater. Now, the thinking here at the Pentagon is that it's going to be more cost effective to update and do the preventive and maintenance work associated with rust than buying an entirely new fleet. But it's really been only in only the past 5 years or so that they've started to get their hands around the cost. We talked to one of the consultants at LMI that did the research for the Department of Defense.
And 40% of that cost is preventative. And if we hadn't spent that money, the cost would definitely have gone up. So I think it's just taking a long time, number one, for people to understand how deep and how large this issue is.
Now, both the industry and the Pentagon have been starting to work over this, as I mentioned, over the past 5 years or so. Now, Lockheed Martin's invested $15 million in R&D on this. Here at the Pentagon, they've actually created a team of rust busters. It's called the Office of Corrosion Policy and Oversight. Essentially, Eric and Deirdre, it's 4 workers working about a mile away from here. They've been working on this since 2003 when this office was created, full-time, specifically on this issue. Now, they don't have any quantifiable savings just yet, but the director predicts that he'll be able to save 30% on this over the course of 20 years. So that would be about $6 billion a year. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much.